Hey, good morning, everybody. We are live. It's Bitcoin Steven and the BTC Guru. What's happening?
Hello, everyone.
Hey, happy Tuesday, right? Is it Tuesday or Wednesday? It's Wednesday, isn't it?
Yeah,
Wednesday.
you missed a day. You're a little behind.
I know, gosh. They just keep going so fast. So much good stuff. It's amazing when things are going good, and it just seems like time just flies by, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's true.
You're kind of
We've been working on it. We told you yesterday's show that we're basically going to launch a token and show you guys how to do it, and we've started that process, and we'll start each one of these of kind of what we've done so far, and then go into the headlines and whatever else we jump into. But one of the hardest things that we're working on right now is the name, right? You got to get a name.
Yeah, you've got to have a name, and you want to have something that kind of, how do you kind of convey this? And, so this is something that, this is kind of a real pet project for, me and my family and stuff. And, I talked to my mom and my brother or my son yesterday about it. And, what we found is one of the most important things in the space that we're targeting. My little brother had, in case you missed yesterday's episode, he had muscular dystrophy. He was diagnosed at 10 years old. And, when they did the biopsy, that put him in a wheelchair. That was a tough thing because with muscular dystrophy, you have when you break down muscle, it just, you can't rebuild it, right?
Right.
You just can't rebuild it. So that put him in a wheelchair, and he was in a wheelchair, just a regular wheelchair for probably about 5 or 6 years. Okay. And, the doctor said that he wouldn't live to be 18.
Wow.
And, he was a pretty tough kid, and we used to literally, have to lift him up out of the wheelchair, and, he always wanted to be mobile. So we lived down in San Diego. When I was 15, we moved down to San Diego. So he was like 13, and we lived on a golf course, and my mom and dad had a golf cart. Like we had a little golf cart and my brother he would drive that thing around. He loved driving that thing around, and until he got too weak to where he couldn't do that. And, then he kind of wanted to always, be on the go and go. So then he got into literally had to go on a ventilator, and, he was in the electric wheelchair with a ventilator. And, they're saying he's not going to live to be 18, and make a long story short, he ended up living to be like 45.
Wow.
So, he just crushed all the records there and gave everybody a big F you, I'm not going to.
Awesome.
And it was a hard life, man. He had a really, difficult life, but the things that made him happy was being mobile, being able to be mobile and go out and see different things. He loved going to the beach, so, when he got to the point to where he couldn't like go in the golf cart or do much himself, we had to have nurses, 24 hours a day when you had a ventilator. But, my folks got him a wheelchair accessible van, and, so then he was able to go down and have the nurses like take him down to the beach, and he would just, go sit and hang out at the beach. And, he had a life where he couldn't really do anything, and it was pretty brutal. So that's one of the things that we wanted to focus on is, my mom and son were saying, hey, let's see if we can get the name Wheels, because he just wanted to always be on wheels, so. Right. And, I was talking to you this morning. We're not sure if you can even use that name because it might be too long, but that's one of the things that we're going to find out. There's all these little things that go into, creating something like this, and this is part of it. And then we're going to also get the domain. I'll tell you what that is tomorrow because we haven't locked it up yet. So I don't want somebody to go out and snag it before we actually do.
Yeah, and one of the huge goals that we talked about yesterday, and I'll reiterate it again, is to help families that have this situation in their family unit. And, it's a huge responsibility, it's a huge drain, financially, physically, time-wise on the family. And so that's a big reason for us doing this. We're calling it a case study, but it's going to be a real token, and it's going to have real world reasons why, and it's going to have an effect on the world by we're going to take the monies that are generated from this, launching this token, and help families that have these people in their family.
Yeah,
to help make them mobile, like Ken, wanted to do all the time, and help make the houses livable. Put the handles everywhere and in the wide hallways and blah blah. All that stuff. It takes time and money, and a lot of people that don't have extra resources for this. So it's something close to her heart, which is great. That's a big part of launching something is being passionate about it. On the business side of things, if you're passionate about something, you can get through a lot of walls.
Right.
And stay passionate, stay persistent, and you can break down a lot of walls. And so, and the first step, like we talked about, is getting the name. So we're getting that name dialed in, and then getting the token ID and going out and research, making sure there's no active tokens that are going to get confused by it. It's okay. You can have token IDs that are the same, as long as they're completely different industries.
Right.
You want to kind of shy away from that. But if you are going to do it, don't get it. If you're selling meat and you got a token meat and there's another person selling meat too, and their token's meat, it's going to get confusing.
Right.
So don't do that.
Right.
So that's another important piece. And you have your description and your why, which we have all that stuff. And then the next thing you do is you create the graphics for that. You got to have graphics in this world. So you got to have a logo, like my logo down there in the corner and Steve's logo down in the corner. We created those, and those are kind of our branding logos. And you got to do the same thing for a token.
Right.
The whole Doji coin is all around their meme, basically. And so it's an important part of this blockchain world. So that's the next step, and then we'll go. We got you take your why and all your what they call your metadata, which is the token name, the token ID, the symbol, the description, and then you build your white paper off of that. Or you pretty much got to have a white paper still in this day and age, because it's like a business plan for your token.
Right.
Doesn't have to be all fancy and stuff. As long as it communicates the right information, it's going to do. So we're right in the process of doing that. And the next step after that, and I'll end with this, is the tokenomics, which means the breakdown of the token of what, how much this is a charitable. We're basically going to create a charitable trust that will own all this, and the board of the charitable trust will direct, where the funds go and such. But the whole goal is to raise awareness and raise funds for these families and for charitable organizations to help people with this disease. And so we'll have the breakdown of that, of how much for overhead, how much do we give away to families, how much do we give away to nonprofits, and that's called the tokenomics. And then the next step is launching it, and we'll go through all that. But that's where we're at right now.
Yeah, it's exciting, and we really encourage you guys to come watch this, see how this works. Look at this, like Dogecoin. He was a high school kid or something like that when he decided to create that meme just as a project and to have
He's wanted to see if he could create something on the blockchain.
Yeah, and now and he's a multi-millionaire from doing it. Who's to say that you might not be able to do something and solve a big problem out there? If you go solve a big problem out there, and this is a big problem, I can tell you, when you have a child in your family that gets sick, okay, there's nothing worse as a parent than you can ever have to deal with, okay? But, then when it starts to cost you additional resources that a lot of families don't have, because, when one of the challenges, again, like with dystrophy, once you get diagnosed, they diagnose you because they go out and do a biopsy, right? Typically, I don't know why they do it in your leg, but that's where they seem to do it. So then you end up in a wheelchair, and once you're in a wheelchair, you've got bathrooms. You can't get into bathrooms.
Right.
You can't get into showers. You've got all these different little things that you've got to deal with. And, God forbid, you have a child that ends up being on a ventilator and you need 24 hours a day care because, the insurances and everything would only pay for like 16 hours a day in care.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, my mom had to be taking care of it all of a sudden. My oldest son, David, who's, also going to be involved in this project, he got certified, on the ventilator when he was like 11 or 12 years old.
Wow.
And he was just always there with his uncle, helping him out with that. But, families have a lot of different things that they need to deal with. And, being mobile, being able to take your child somewhere, especially when you get past the point where you have a collapsible wheelchair that you can put in the trunk, then
Right.
You've got to the point now you've got to have like a van. And, I would really want to be able to help these families. There's so many people out there that just need something. And you know what? These kids do not have a really good quality of life. Let's do what we can to try and help them, have some really good experiences and have some really good happy days, and enjoy that time. Because
that's a huge why, and a why is very important in any type of venture, whether it's for profit or nonprofit. Is the why is important, And you know what you're explaining is that. So that's an important part of this whole process is because that's the underlining reason for the passion, and that will give you the reason to stay persistent. And then the rest is just, we're follow what people have done in the past, and that's basically what we're going to be doing here.
Right. And so, you guys have got the opportunity to kind of go through on a daily basis. We're going to be creating one of these tokens. We're going to create the class, show you how to do this. And then, we're also going to be, as part of the master class, we keep evolving as what we're going to be doing here with this training that we're going to be doing. But, and we'll be launching that to you first part of next week also. But, you're going to have an opportunity to, if you want to work with us, come behind the scenes, be part of this. And we would even create a token with you. By the time you get done with our class, you will have a token done. You'll be ready. You'll have a marketing plan. You'll have everything all in place. Plus you'll have the ability to kind of mastermind and use the collective genius of everybody else in the group to help you really identify what the best things are to maybe make your token as potentially as successful as possible. Right, Doug?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's going to be, we're using this case study as the model for everything Steve just said. And then the class that we'll take you through will basically take you through what we just did with the case study to, create your own. The great part, and we've talked about this before, is, part of what Steve's formula for success is customizing the education, the earn while you learn part of it to what you're specifically doing. And that's what kind of sets us apart from other people too, is it's not just general education and then you got to figure out how to apply it. When you sign up for our class, the first thing that happens is you meet privately with us and we get your goals and figure out what direction you want to do. And then we take all the curriculum and customize it for what you're going to do. And like Steve said, our goal is when you leave the class is you have a full-blown token that is in your business to do whatever you're going to do, and a marketing plan. I mean, that's
a marketing plan with it, right?
Yeah. I don't know what we're charging for the class. It's whatever it is, it's not enough because that is incredible. That's $100,000 to $1,000 worth of
education. And nobody's doing it. There's nobody out there in the world that right now is going to take you through hand by hand and walk you through to the creation of a coin.
Yeah.
And what we talked about yesterday, and what we would like to do is we would like everybody that goes through our class to also commit to, when we take a certain little piece of those coins for each one of those operations and set those aside for the people that are in the class, because I mean, think about it. If we have 100 people go through the class and you got 100 different tokens that we're all out there helping create, look at the kind of opportunity, that's out there. So there's going to be a couple of those that really hit and really take off and really do amazing. Yep. And, you only need one of these guys. I mean, you need one of these the right time to, set up your financials for the rest of your life, so.
Absolutely,
it's going to be amazing. It's really cool that we've kind of pushed this whole thing off and waited because it's been evolving. It's just been like this creature that's been evolving with us, with what we're doing. And, we're really excited to be doing a case study, live case study where we're going to create the coin. Like we told you guys yesterday, putting yourself out there and saying you're going to go do it. Now we've got to go do it because we said we're going to do this and we're going to go out and push it and get it done. And if you come and join the class with us, we're going to actually take you by the hand and make sure that everybody gets the same thing done for their business or their passion, whatever it is. I mean, wasn't necessarily our business, what we're creating the token around, but, it's because of,
it's real personal.
Because of the experience that we went through that, we felt that there's a real need out there for it. And we found that, wow, maybe we can, plug a hole there and really help some people.
Absolutely.
It's going to be nothing. I mean, wait till you see the people when we get to go out and help some of these families and you see some of the change and see the kids light up like they haven't lit up in probably years. And it's really going to be a lot of fun. Anything else going on in the headlines today, Doug?
Yeah. You know what? There's some great stuff. One of them, we talked about this last week. El Salvador basically adopted Bitcoin as its currency.
Right.
And then we talk about other nations, or once that happens, it's going to be a domino effect. And there's some other adopters. Tanzania is ready to go to announce it. Paraguay, Panama, Argentina. A lot of the South American companies. We talked about that last week.
Yeah, Michael Saylor was saying that before. He was saying those were all next to fall, right?
Yeah, and Mexico's right in line, and then there's several countries in Africa that's going to do it too.
Right.
And Cardano is huge in Africa, and so there a lot of them will launch on Bitcoin, but then create a national coin that runs on that blockchain. So it's so what happens when just those countries that we just listed adopt Bitcoin as their currency?
Right. Well, yeah. They'll be issuing Bitcoin derivatives, right?
Yeah, basically. But I mean, to do that, you got to buy Bitcoin.
That's what I mean, though. Yeah, they got to have stores of it.
Yeah, and so there's only so much Bitcoin out there. If you go out to any exchange and you try to buy $100,000 worth of Bitcoin, it's virtually impossible. It will take some time to get that done.
Yeah, if you're a government, how much do you have to have? I mean, it's like.
That's true. I mean, if you have a half a Bitcoin, you are golden in my mind. You're better golden. You're gold, you're platinum, you're silver, you're all that put together. Because in the long run, when Bitcoin hits $10 million per thing, that's $5 million that you're sitting on that you paid, you paid 15, 14 grand, 16 grand for, or 20 grand for.
Right.
So that's it. You should start acquiring, and it's okay to acquire little bits at a time. That's what I do. That's how I got to where I'm at, is acquiring little bits of Bitcoin at a time. And it accumulates up, and then I leverage a little bit so I could leverage my growth. And so there's those techniques that we can teach you guys too. But it's very important to jump in, because the billionaire guy that I talked about yesterday, I forget his name, but he basically says Bitcoin is the only 100% secure investment that's out there, that's ever been out there, because it's just math.
It's just math, and it can't break.
Yeah, exactly. Go ahead, talk a little bit on that. I'm going to get his name real fast while you're.
I mean, literally. I mean, Bitcoin has no leaks, guys. I mean, it's like there's only 21 million coins ever once it's all been mined, and there's no leaks. I mean, it doesn't. It's all on the blockchain. I mean, look at these guys who did this ransomware. You see how stupid some criminals are. World's dumbest criminals, right?
Yeah.
They go in and ransom. They go take over these people's computers, and they do this ransomware thing, and then they take the money in Bitcoin. And it's like, if you were Bitcoin, it's right there. They know, they found the wallets. They got it all back.
The ledgers, it's public, which is great. And people say, one of the critics against blockchain and Bitcoin is like, the criminals, you money launder it. Well, first of all, there's way more money laundering going through traditional banks. They get in trouble for it every 5 to 10 years.
Right.
And it's happening again. And the complete ledger, it's like having your checkbook registered publicly available to everybody in the world, and everybody in the world has a copy of the checkbook registered. That's what the blockchain is. So it's virtually impossible to embezzle and do that stuff with, because everybody's going to see it. So the guy I was speaking of was Paul Tudor Jones, and he calls Bitcoin 100% certain, because it's math. It's 2 + 2 is 4. 2 + 2 will always be 4. It'll never change. It hasn't changed for hundreds and thousands of years, and will not change for hundreds and thousands of years. And that's the beauty of Bitcoin. And we've talked about it many times. There's no agenda inside Bitcoin. It's programmed to do one thing. It's a very simple program, and it's programmed to increase every year. Its DNA is to go up in value every year. And that's going to happen through many reasons. It's got to cover inflation. That's why it's programmed that way. But then the whole supply and demand, there's only 21 million coin, around there, that will ever be issued. And a lot, about 10%, maybe 12% of that will probably are lost and never to be found, because of early adopters. Just like, they mined a bunch of stuff and then threw the computer away, and they don't have the code for the password. I get calls all the time. man, my son way back when mine, and he had like 14 Bitcoins in there, and we don't know where the computer is. Is there any way to figure that out? I go, well, do you know the password that he used to create the wallet? No. I go, yeah, sorry, that's it. You can't. You got to get that 12 to 24 word password.
Yeah,
that's the only way you can recover it.
Got to have that.
So that's exciting, and as far as price goes, you're looking at it. The pressure is starting to build where it's going to be impossible for it to not go up. And
I mean, if these countries, I mean, they were talking also about, what was it, Venezuela? Who was the first one that just adopted El Salvador? And they were saying how they think their dollar now is just going to totally collapse, right? And that's because of this, right? So it's going to be Bitcoin. So if everybody starts buying, if a government start buying Bitcoin, even I mean, how much they got to have a whole bunch of it, They got to have a whole bunch of it,
If all these small, it's a win-win all the way around. They take their whole treasury, they put it into Bitcoin.
Right.
It's a increasing in value asset that now the country has. And then they could issue, a derivative off that, which could be they just tie their dollar to the Bitcoin, basically.
Right, which is probably what they'd have to do. Well, that means they have to own the Bitcoin, though, right?
Right, and then the people, in the country, the ones that want to accumulate wealth, they're going to accumulate Bitcoin.
Yeah,
they're going to charge for Bitcoin. I read like almost 10 headlines of different companies that exploded when they started charging for using Bitcoin as a payment process. They just exploded. There's a nonprofit that Jim and I backed that I sent to you. It's the Water Trust. They raised $1.3 million in cryptocurrency that but in US dollars value, 1.3 in a matter of days for their nonprofit because they're in the Bitcoin world. First of all, a lot of people that hold very large wallets are very charitable people because they feel really blessed like we do.
Right.
And kind of this whole case study we're doing is for this exact reason, to give back to, and with the knowledge and the blessings that we got, to give back to it and propagate that and pay it forward and let the people that participate in this case study pay it forward again and again and again. And that's the type of people that are in blockchain and Bitcoin. It filters out the bad people because of the visibility.
Yeah, I mean, if you really got a really good idea and people really can see that, and they can see that you're not out there like just, there's so many coins out there where everybody's just hiding. Who are they? Who started it? Not everybody's going to be Satoshi, Satoshi, right? We'll probably never know who he was, right? The Bitcoin guy, but it's like, if you're going to start a real business, a real thing, why go hide,
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. And if it's a legit idea and you're working at it, the whole thing is whether you can do it or not. That's the only question.
That's it. Just, stand proud, be proud, what you got there. It's going to be fun. I'm really looking forward to creating this coin and getting some momentum out there and helping some families out, really helping some families out. That's what's going to really be a lot of fun.
And then once we figure out the name and stuff, we'll show you how to create the metadata on the blockchain, which is the first thing you do. And then we'll go down to the next step, and we'll show you how to do that until it's out there, and then we'll show you how to promote it.
There you go. Sounds good. Anything else for today?
I think that's good enough from my point of view. I think we put out some great value in just a few minutes.
There you go. All right, guys. It's been fun. Hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, please feel free to share it with others. Got some exciting things coming, guys. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll look forward to talking to you tomorrow. Thanks.